What is happening, YouTube and weight loss warriors? It is your boy C Dub, and I'm back with a live broadcast. And today, guys, I just happened to come across a new study, and I felt like it was a good opportunity for me to hop on here, talk to you guys. Instead of recording it and posting it in the morning and doing the editing and all that stuff, I just felt like coming on here and tackling this was a good topic and a good time to do it. I know that hopping on live without advertising probably wasn't the best idea. Nobody's sitting around waiting to hop on live with me, but I hope you guys join me soon because I do got a great topic to talk about today. So basically what I wanted to talk about was a new study, and this study came from a tweet that had come across my desk about intermittent fasting. And as you guys know, the science behind intermittent fasting is kind of in a spot where we're not really knowing exactly what all of the science is to the detail that we'd like to think that it is done. So basically, we've run a lot of tests on a lot of different animals, including mice, and these tests have been tremendous. Thank you for whoever joined me. I appreciate it. But these testing have showed tremendous results in rats. And so there isn't a whole lot of studies done in people. So this particular study that came across as a tweet, and I said, you know what, I got to hop on live and talk about it, isn't done on animals. And that makes it so much more relevant because the number one topic that people are going to say when they're talking about intermittent fasting and why it quote unquote isn't real or isn't real science, it's just calorie restriction. What they're going to say is all the studies are done on mice. And this particular study that I want to talk about today had nothing to do with mice. It was done on people. And so that makes this study really interesting and really credible, or at least more credible than most studies are. We have to keep in mind that thanks for whoever threw the thumbs up, man. I appreciate it. And anybody that throws a thumbs up, thank you so much. It'll help YouTube push me out on more people's channels so they'll know I'm live. So hit the thumbs as much as you guys can. But anyway, so with this study, now we've got 4 people on. It's definitely time to jump right into it. So every time you take a look at intermittent fasting, there's no consistency on what they do in the study. Sometimes they do alternate day fasting and they allow 500 calories on your eating days. Sometimes they apply a 16 and 8, barely ever. Sometimes, a lot of times they'll do 12 and 12 and call it intermittent fasting. And so that can get confusing and that can make the studies more difficult to really understand whether or not it worked or not. So if they do a study that says you can eat for 12 and you can't eat for 12, then that puts you in a situation where you're looking at this study and you're saying intermittent fasting doesn't work when you haven't even gotten into a real fasting portion of that situation. So what you were looking for in a study is somebody that's doing something that's at least 16 and 8 with humans or greater, and there's 0 calorie intake during their fasting 16 hours. If you get a study like that, that's when things start to get cool, or that's when things start to get interesting. And in this particular study I came across my desk did today. So I definitely looked at it and I was like, wow, that's interesting. And I'm going to pick up my phone here in a minute and read through the study and read through the different stuff and really talk about it in detail. But I wanted you to understand, when you are out there trying to do your own research on intermittent fasting, don't just take people's word for what it is. A lot of times you pop onto somebody that's an influencer and they're saying, hey, the intermittent fasting is not really something that works. Intermittent fasting is really just calorie restriction. Anybody can do it. And when they're talking like that, a lot of times they will cite that they have a study. Sometimes you'll see they don't even link it, but the ones that do link it, it'll be, most of the time it's alternate day fasting, allowing you to eat on your fasting day, which just makes no sense. And they say, hey, they lost just as much weight as the other group and all that stuff. This one today, however, is slightly different. I also have heard that there's a big study coming out in September. If that study comes out, I will make sure to hop on here either live or do a video and break that study down and all the good stuff and the ins and outs about it. But here is the study. So to give you guys the information, this study was finished on July 24th, 2019. So this study is a relatively new study. It's given information that is brand new. It's not something that happened. A lot of these studies and things that you'll find are many, many years old. This one's right new. And it was done by the Obesity Society. And so it says for the summary of the summary, researchers discovered that meal timing strategies such as intermittent fasting or eating earlier in the day appear to help people lose weight and lower their appetite because of lowering their appetite and not burning more calories, according to the report. The study has showed that meal timing effects for 24 hours after intermittent fasting increase your metabolism and require less food intake less frequently. So, what does that mean, guys? That is a huge thing. So, what they're saying is they still believe that calories in, calories out ultimately is what is causing the weight loss. That maybe we're not in this fat burning mode, which I still think we are, but there's not enough clear quote evidence of that yet. But what they say in this study, and we'll look at it a little bit deeper in a minute, is that the longer you fast, the less hungry you get. And when you get back into your eating windows, you're eating less food than those people that are not participating. And so it clearly breaks down that the people that eat 6 meals a day are actually intaking more food and are reportedly more hungry than those people that are eating in 18 and 6 is what this study was. So for these of you guys that are doing a 16 and 8, it is 2 hours more fasting a day. And for those of you guys that are doing a warrior and greater, you know, it's a little bit less. But this study is huge because it shows you what I've preached to my subscribers since the beginning. What I've been preaching to you guys is that it is hugely important in intermittent fasting to understand that in the beginning it's hard, but over the course of time, it is going to change your hunger. And that is more important than anything else intermittent fasting has done for me. A really good example is my wife, as you guys know, is a yoga teacher. In her yoga classes, she has, they had a yoga gathering today, and everyone around me was eating, and I had zero interest in it, guys. I just wasn't, it wasn't in my window, and I didn't feel like it. And everybody was eating around me, and it was just like, okay, I'm good. But that was not in my system before I started intermittent fasting. And that isn't because intermittent fasting has done this thing or I feel guilty. It has literally just changed the way in which I feel like eating, when I feel like eating and when I don't feel like eating. So that is a huge, huge thing. And for those of you guys that are just joining me now, I'm talking real quick about a study. I'm going to pick this up for 1 second to make sure I got it plugged in. I'm talking to you guys about a study that I have just discovered that was sent out on Twitter, and it's about a week old or a couple weeks old, I guess, half a month old now. So it just explains that time restricted eating has more benefits than maybe we had originally thought. So that was just a summary of it. Let me get back into the study a little bit so we have a little bit more information on exactly what happened. But so they basically wanted to check out if coordinating meals had messed with the circadian rhythm of the body's internal clock, and it wanted to know if it improved their metabolism. And guys, so another couple of notes on this is it had many different doctors involved. It says a Dr. Peterson here, Dr. Rizolfa. I can't even begin to understand that. But then it was also overseen by the Department of Neurosciences at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Dr. Peterson talked about meal timing strategies. And guys, it says here that they actually did burn more fat in a 24-hour period, but they still think that the restricted eating, the cause of why that was more successful was due to the fact that the other group was less hungry. Which, like I said, guys, I mean, how important is that? It says that they were able to switch. The intermittent fasting people that were using the study were able to switch between carbohydrates for burning energy and burning fat much easier, and their metabolism was much more flexible. Guys, that is something that I have also said, because people attack me a lot about me not doing keto. And a lot of people will say all the time, hey, listen, keto, is doing all of these different things for you. And they're going to teach your body how to run in fat burning mode. And it's going to do all these wonderful things. And one of the things that I jump down on people and say all the time is that you can switch back and forth between burning carbs and burning fat easy if you stick to it over time. You don't have to cut carbs completely out. Carbs can be explosive. They can help you. They can fuel you in ways that fat does not quite do. And that's been proven scientifically. So, I'm not saying that the keto people are bad, because they're not. They're wonderful. But I'm just saying that you can switch between the two of them much easier. And if you're talking about a person that's insulin resistant, they cannot switch between the two of them to save their life. So if you're an insulin resistant person that's just starting out on your journey, you're not going to be able to move from fat burning mode over to carb burning mode. From carb burning mode to fat burning mode. You're not going to be able to do that easily. It's going to take you 72 hours. It's going to take a lot of grinding of not eating. You've got to stabilize your blood sugar, which hasn't been stabilized in years. And it's a huge process. But once you get in the swing of it and you've been doing it day in and day out, you'll find that you can move back and forth between the two different versions much easier. And this study also said that they found that the age group was 20 to 45 years old. Their participants were all a body mass. Their body mass index was between 25 and 35 pounds, kilograms, or between 68 and 100. So they were on the overweight side. They all went to bed between 9:30 and midnight, and they made sure that all the women participating had a normal menstrual, can't even say that word, cycle, but you ladies know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they made sure you were on the regular with that before they messed with it, because they wanted to make sure that in this study that you had the right hormones going, so that whether or not they didn't want your hormones to skew whether or not the results were accurate. So, and they gave 2 different mealtime studies, and they did a fasting, 2 different breakdowns of fasting. One of which was a 12 and 12. And the 12 and 12 showed no difference between them and the regular eating people. And then they broke it down to a 6-hour window. And that window was between 8 in the morning and 2 p.m. And that's one of the controversial things with intermittent fasting these days. A lot of scientists and people are trying to say that we should be fasting in the evening, and we should be eating in the morning. And you guys, I did a video on that, but my opinion is you've got to get through the day however you get through the day, and your window needs to adjust personally to how it fits into your lifestyle. So I don't think it's hugely important to do one or the other, but you might have some slight advantages if you do shift it into the morning. What's going on, man? It's good to see you, Outlaw. I appreciate it. Everybody else, while I'm talking to Outlaw and welcome them in here, make sure you hit that like button, guys. I need that to go out so more people see that I'm live. So I appreciate all of you. But in this study, they made sure that they stayed on meal structures with calories, with carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. So they didn't keto this. They didn't do a low fat diet. They left them on a regular fasting protocol. So that's an interesting thing. I'm just trying to read a little bit ahead, guys, so that I know exactly what I'm saying. But anyways, it showed big hormone level shifts between, throughout the day. And that's one of the reasons why this study says maybe eating in the morning is something that we should all take a minute to look right into. But guys, their blood pressure levels of the fasting groups were better than the non-fasting groups. It does not, or at least so far, I haven't seen exactly how many people they used in the study, which I would like to know, because it could be a study of 10, or it could be a study of 100, obviously, or 1,000, or whatever. Obviously, the more people the study is, the more people will take the study seriously. So, that would be something I would like to see here. But they showed that the calorie intake, they did not put them on any kind of restrictive eating, which I think is super interesting. So they didn't give them you need to eat this much or that much. They just kind of let them do as they wanted to do. And in the process of doing that, they noticed, and this is the point I think that I'm going to drive home about this study. And if you guys got a question for me after I talk about the study, drop it over there, right where the Outlaw just wrote. So hit me up in the comments. But ultimately speaking, in this study, the thing that I got the absolute most out of this is that the fasting group was less hungry than the non-fasting group, and that is something that we cannot sleep on. That over the course of time, you're going to eat less food when you're eating less often. So it's kind of, and as the article said, it's kind of a double-edged sword there. By fasting, your appetite goes down, and therefore you're eating less in your eating window. So it's a double-edged sword. So you're actually intaking less food just naturally. Your body tells you to intake less food. At the same time you're intaking less food, you're giving yourself more time to burn body fat. So you're getting a 2-for-1 powered up supercharge when you're doing intermittent fasting. And that is the number one thing that I'm taking out of that. I think it's a big time thing to be able to understand that I'm going to be less hungry if I eat less often. And that is a powerful thing. Let me see what the outlaw has to say. Culture and family, we have got to deal with that too. It's late in the day, has worked best for me. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. He hit the nail on the head there, guys. I eat late in the day too. I have a family. I want to eat with my wife. I want to eat with my kids. So eating later in the day is best for me. It's worked for me for 17 months or whatever it is now that I'm into this journey. But I think that there may be some science that shows that in the morning is slightly better. So if you have the ability to adjust your window and you don't care, or you're a heavy breakfast person anyways, go ahead and hop on it. But otherwise, do what works best for you. A lot of people do the middle of the day too. I don't think a window of any particular time is so much more powerful that it makes it worth it. And I'll give you another example of something that I go back to. But, we talked about working out fasted with heavy weights as opposed to working out fed with heavy weights, and that you have a 2% increase in strength when you are actually fed versus fasted. So that 2% to me isn't worth it. That's just the way that it is. I don't need to get 2% stronger. I'm okay with the strength level I am now. So, but for you as a person out there that may be wanting to increase their strength and may have a reason why they want to be stronger, you absolutely may want to work out fed. But when you work out fasted, you're going to get more ripped. You're going to get more, and maybe not as much strength, but you're going to get more definition. So it's a balance. And that's why you'll see bodybuilders will always lift fed, but they'll cut and start to fast once their show starts to pop up. And that's hugely important. Have I ever heard of the research? No, I have not. I can't even pronounce that word. But no, Tyler, I have not. But I'll definitely check it out if you want to leave me a little summary over there. I'll read what you got to say there. But yeah, I would love to know more. But intermittent fasting, I think these studies are going to continue to go out. I just happened to post a video the other day. If you haven't seen it, when we hop off this live, you can go check it out. But that video was about, is intermittent fasting going mainstream? And the problem is, of course, financials. If what does why would food industry ever tell you not to eat? And if the medical industry is making money with getting you on medicine, why would they tell you not to eat? So you have two things that both want you to eat. So the solution is, and both of them know that it's out of control right now. Both of them, listen, it doesn't take very much studying to understand that we are dying as a country. Obesity is our number one killer. It's destroying us. Heart disease, dementia, all that stuff is ramping through our culture and our society. Everyone knows. It's not a secret that everyone knows. But why give the information out if it's not profitable? And if I'm making profit on your sickness, it doesn't make sense either. And that doesn't mean that the doctor you sit down with knows all this information and he's neglecting to tell you it. But it does mean that the people teaching them and the people that are around them and the higher ups of the situation, the people that put the curriculum together, are the ones that kind of have an idea of what's going on and they can steer you away from it. Guys, I mean, the food pyramid goes back to Ansel Keats and that whole thing. If you want me to do a video on that, man, leave me a comment on this video and let me know. But the food pyramid has been proven to be BS. And not only is it BS, but there's a dairy thing on there, right? and it's sponsored by dairy. The dairy industry sponsors the food pyramid. So why would the food pyramid ever tell you that you don't or shouldn't eat dairy? And I'm not telling you to eat dairy or not eat dairy. I'm not getting into any of that. But what I am saying is they're literally paying to make sure they stay on the food pyramid. We'll never not be recommended that because there's money coming in, guys. And they give farmers and all kinds of people tax breaks and everything else to now genetically engineer their food to get more food out, to put more pressure on us, basically, to consume this stuff. And it's a vicious cycle. But fasting going mainstream is very difficult because although it's working, they can't really get control of it. And I won't be surprised if somewhere down the line you start to see some pushback because there's new terms and conditions on YouTube that says you can't push products or push things that aren't quote unquote true. And if YouTube feels like fasting doesn't have the science to back it up, they can shut down all fasting channels or at least demonetize them. So by taking away the money of the fasters, those guys are going to go elsewhere. And once they go elsewhere, the word doesn't spread as much. So we have all those vicious obstacles to overcome as a fasting community, not to mention the stigmas and everything else that goes into intermittent fasting and the problems we have with it. Let me check out the chat over here. So research was done with young women, but do you think intermittent fasting will work? Very good question. I think that intermittent fasting is a way, whether you're about to go through menopause or not. I think intermittent fasting is a way to get your hormones better in balance. So to answer your question, I think that as women are aging, I think intermittent fasting will do nothing but help them as opposed to hurt them. Now, could it kick you into menopause faster or slow that down? I don't think there's enough science done to say, hey, listen, if you're getting towards that age and you're doing intermittent fasting, you're going to get there quicker. Or, hey, if you want to stay longer and not get to the menopause, intermittent fasting will slow it down. I don't know about either one of those, but I do think that your hormones start to get in balance on all levels. I think people with thyroid issues, their thyroids start to get better. I think people with, ghrelin and leptin issues get better. Insulin resistance gets better. So as all of that happens, I think that your hormones are going to be better and more in balance. So I hope that answers your question. Dennis, 200 pounds, man. That is amazing, my friend. I'm proud of you. Down 63. That's awesome, guys. Turn it up for Dennis over there in that chat, man. Appreciate it, man. He's been a loyal weight loss warrior for a long, long time. So we appreciate you, Dennis. Congratulations on making it under 200 pounds. And guys, I'm pretty sure he reversed type 2 diabetes through intermittent fasting. So it just once again goes to show you some of the amazing details and some of the amazing things that intermittent fasting has to do. It's just the fact that when you intermittent fast, your body uses fat for energy, whether you're eating keto or high carb. So if you're eating high carb, you kick into, okay. Hey, you know what? What's funny there, Tyler, is, I'm going to research it. And matter of fact, Tyler, I'll tell you what, this week I'm going to do a video on it. I will look it up. I don't know enough about it, but I will look it up and I will come back and do a nice video because I think it's a great thing to educate us on, because there's one thing that I know. In the 90s, they came out with this low-fat diet stuff. And for those of you that don't know, the first time I lost weight was in the 90s. When I was in high school, I lost about 100 pounds. And I did it with low fat. If something had 3% fat on it, that was my rule. I would not eat it. I stayed completely away from anything with 3% fat. I didn't drink anything with a calorie in it. And I ended up losing 100 pounds. So low fat does work. The problem is, and for me, it wasn't sustainable. And the more I started wrestling, the more I didn't feel right. And the more I started doing jujitsu, and I got away from the low fat thing. And looking back at it, a lot of the products that are low fat are super processed and just not good for you, internally. But I 100% know for a fact you can lose weight on a low fat diet. And I know for a fact you can lose weight on a keto diet. Those are facts. The question is And the biggest question I think is, can you sustain it long term? And I think that's a personal answer. Some of us can sustain it long term, like Dennis is doing, been on keto, and Omad Outlaw, they've been on keto forever. Other people like myself, I just can't. There's not enough variety of food for me to enjoy keto. I do like fats and I love protein. If keto was high protein, I'd be much more inclined. The 70% fat is where I just, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, what am I going to do? I got to cook it in this. I got to do just to fatten my meals. It's just not for me. Now, if it was eat steak and bunches of it, I could do that all day. So, I definitely will do a video though. I think that, and don't apologize for the long comment, man. That was an amazing comment. I will look it up. I promise 100%. I will have a video probably coming out closer to the weekend this week because I've got a few other videos that are in line this week, but I will get that up. Thank you for the great idea on a video. So, Dennis, yeah, man. Hey, look, Dennis, man, if I had anything to do with your weight loss, I appreciate it, man. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help. So I really do appreciate it. All right, Lafayette. That's funny. The high school I coach wrestling at is Lafayette High School. So I'm new to your channel, but you lost 21 pounds. Man, that is what I'm talking about. OMAD is the way to go. I can't say enough about OMAD. I mean, OMAD is, for me, the superior, way to go. But I know it's not for everybody. I'm so happy you lost 21 pounds. I can't wait for you to get to your goal. Let us know what is your goal. How many pounds more do you want to lose? Where are you at in that kind of scale? So, Amy's on live too. That's funny, Amy's a supporter of mine. She gets on live just about every night. Dennis, Outlaw. So, I try to get over there when I can, but I just saw that study today and I wanted to bring the attention to you guys, that brand new study showing that your metabolism improves and your hunger dissipates at the same time when intermittent fasting. How awesome is that, to have your hunger go down, your metabolism go up? Who can deny that? That is 100% an amazing thing. So, in the type 2 diabetes getting reversed, man, that's what we're all here to hear about, is that type 2 diabetes hitting the road there. You've been doing it for almost a week, and your acid reflux is gone. Actually, that is an amazing comment. And, you also dropped 5 pounds and you need to lose at least 150. Okay. Well, look, a couple of quick things. Let me tell you. Number one, take it slow. It's your first week. Don't overdo it. Relax, breathe, take it one day at a time, and you're going to get there. I did 125 pounds in 11 months. It is definitely doable. But the acid reflux is interesting because my dad has had, is it called GARDS? Is that what it's called? GR? I'm not exactly sure, but my dad has had problems with it for years. And he started doing OMAD probably about January. He had messed around a little bit with intermittent fasting when I first started. He really liked it and was doing well, and then he got away from it. And he came back in January and said, I think I'm going to do OMAD. And so my pop started doing OMAD. Yeah, there you go. That's the word I was looking for down there. And so he calls me up after, this is probably like March. And he says, hey, listen, I've been suffering with this GARDS here. I've been suffering with it since I was young. It has been a huge problem in my life. And this is another thing we should do a video on. But and he said, and it's completely gone. He said, intermittent fasting has stopped my acid reflux 100%. And he was like, I don't know why. And he was like, do research and see what you can find out. So I did. So I looked up, fasting and fixing acid reflux. And what ends up happening is acid reflux comes from when your stomach is too acidy, too alkaline, and it pushes the acid up your esophagus. And when you intermittent fast and you do it and you get your body a break, it gets the pH balances in your stomach better. And once your pH balance in your stomach is better, your acid reflux goes away. So I think it's very interesting that you mentioned it. I think it's just one of the many benefits you're going to find through the course of this journey. You're just now getting into it, and just now getting into the journey. being a couple of weeks in, or what, I don't remember exactly how long you said, 1 week in, being 1 week in, and already seeing a health benefit is amazing, but you're going to get so many more health benefits. There is one other thing that I do want to mention, though. You said 5 pounds in a week. And I want to mention that my first week, when I was really focused on looking at my weight, it was a huge number. I don't remember, 10, something like that. And it was for a little bit. I hit big numbers very early on, but those numbers are going to slow down. So don't get frustrated the first time you get on the scale and it's -1 or -2. The first time you get on your scale and it's not quite what you wanted it to be. Remember, it is a journey. And remember, don't change the next thing in your journey until you've got down the one you're doing. So what do I mean when I say that? If you started at 16 and 8, get your 16 and 8 going. Make sure you're very comfortable before you move it to 18 and 6. And if you continue to do that and you move through slowly, you're going to be able to stay in the journey, and you're going to be able to allow your body to adjust as you go. And therefore, you're going to put yourself in a situation where you can keep your weight off for a longer period of time. And to me, that's huge. To me, that's everything. So that's my advice to you guys. While I read a little bit more, make sure you guys are hitting that thumb up so that people that are hopping on, it puts my face up there and says I'm live. More people that hit like, the more people this goes out to. I want to help as many people as I can. All right. C-Dub, exercise when you first started OMAD, or did you lose the weight first? That's a good question. And if you did not know, I did not exercise in the beginning. I started intermittent fasting. I started at 16 and 8, but I moved to OMAD super quick. I was within OMAD probably in the first month. And mainly that was not because I felt I needed to get to OMAD. I just stopped getting hungry after a certain period of time, and I would move my window closer and closer until I, was just eating one time. And I did not exercise at all before probably the first 100 pounds. And I hit a plateau. It was about 9 months in or so, maybe 8 months in. I couldn't lose any weight. I stuck there for an entire month, and I just started walking. It was actually pretty much by accident. I play a game, as you guys can see right here, Pokemon. I love Pokemon, man. A passion of mine. I know that makes me a dork, but I do love Pokemon. And so they have a game where you're out in the real world and you do some walking. And I accidentally did 10,000 steps trying to catch Pokemon one day. And the next day I showed my wife, I said, look, I just did 10,000 steps. I never thought I could do that. And we laughed. I got up the next day and I felt fine. So I went out for a walk and walked 10,000 more. And I have not missed a day since then. And I'm generally walking 15,000, and walking is probably the most important thing I do in my life right now. Physically, it clears my mind. It does so many great things for me. But I did not start that till I was 9 months and 100 pounds in. And I didn't start lifting weights again until I was 1 year in. I didn't even touch a weight or anything of that nature. I will wrestle around with some of the kids now. I will play a lot more sports with my sons, throwing footballs and running around the house and doing crazy stuff. But it was a year into my journey before I really started doing it. I think it depends, to answer whether or not you should start exercising at the beginning of your OMAD or not. I think it depends on what kind of shape you're in, how much weight you have to lose. If you are morbidly obese, exercise to me is not important at all. You guys, I know this isn't the popular opinion, but one of the reasons why OMAD is great is because you're losing weight because of the time period in which you eat. Because weight loss is done in the kitchen, whether we want to admit that or not. You have to eat less, and if you're eating less, you're going to lose weight, and then later on you can get to where you're in a situation where you're struggling. I got a message over here. Let me go ahead and say show it for and keep on rolling down. But I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry I'm way behind now, but anyways, yes, it has been absolutely amazing. It was so painful. Well, look, like I said, I think one of the things, it cleared, just to let you know, fasting cleared my skin tags. It got rid of sleep apnea. I feel much, much better. I haven't been really sick, like go to the doctor and get medicine sick in the whole entire time. So it really has helped me in ways that I couldn't even understand. So, hey, what's going on, Miss Smith? She's over here, guys. You can go check her channel out. I could have not allowed that comment, but she's amazing. A beautiful singer, by the way, on a nomad journey. So if you want to see somebody that's in the middle of their journey, she's definitely one to watch. Omad Outlaw up at the top too, guys, of the chat thing. He has his own channel. So there's definitely several people that pop in my chats that do have their own channels, and you guys should definitely go check them out. No doubt about it. I hope everything's going well. How much weight have you lost now, Miss Smith? Let us know down in the chat. Let us know exactly where you are at. So, guys, if there's any more questions, throw them over there for sure, and I will answer them. Let me get this loose skin question here. Did fasting help with any loose skin? So loose skin is an interesting topic, and people are going to go both directions with this when you go to channels. I have seen channels that tell you you will not have loose skin if you fast. And I have also seen channels that say you are, if you're 500 pounds and you lose weight, you're going to have loose skin. Doesn't matter if you fast or you don't fast, how fast you lose weight, all that stuff. But loose skin, if we think about it, loose skin is basically your body has to get bigger because you're overweight. And in order for it to get bigger, it has to create blood vessels and blood cells, and all kinds of things have to grow and increase to accommodate for the body fat that they're storing. So when you are morbidly obese, you have a whole lot of extra skin and a lot of tissues and a lot of blood vessels and a lot of things. All of that can probably go away in different ways. And so for me, for example, I was 312 at my heaviest, 186, ish now, something like that. In the process of myself, I don't have a whole lot of it. I do have a little bit on my arms. I mean, I showed you guys before. You can see just a little bit of loose skin there on the back of my arm. There's a tiny bit on my stomach, but it's not something that I think is of a great deal. A lot of people say I would have had it, but because I was doing OMAD, that shrunk it down. Is it genetics or is it not? Back to the other subject, I talked earlier about being on a low-fat diet when I was a kid. I lost 100 pounds there and had zero loose skin. I went from being 100 pounds overweight to an actual six-pack at that point in my life and was super ripped up and muscular with no loose skin. So do I have good genetics? Was I young then and now I'm not, and that's why the loose skin's there? A lot of things I think can play into that, but I think that loose skin is something that is the least of your worries if you're overweight. Get healthy, lose the weight, you'll feel better, and once you're feeling better, you can tackle some of the other things. And if you need to have the surgery, you can have the surgery. But ultimately speaking, I do think fasting helps. I think autophagy helps. I think if you are staying in autophagy for long periods of time throughout your weight loss, it will help, because what autophagy does is it eats the bad cells first, but the excess stuff. So if you have a lot of loose skin with a lot of extra blood vessels and things that created to make the loose skin happen, I think that autophagy will eat some of that away. Will it fix it perfectly? No, it's not. It's probably not going to fix it perfectly. You're probably not going to go back to, being an absolute, tight-skinned, perfect-bodied person. But again, what are we in this for? Are we in this to look good on Instagram, or are we in this to lose weight and be healthy and live longer? I'll take living longer over Instagram, looking good on Instagram any day of the week. And so, that's just my 2 cents. And there's a lot of other content creators out there that have loose skin issues. I know some of you, if you ever seen Obese to Beast, he didn't do any fasting at all. He lost weight. He's got loose skin all over the place. And in the process, of that, he'll be the first to tell you it was 100% worth it. So that's just something for you guys to consider. I think loose skin isn't as big a problem as you would want it to be. Almost at 100 subscribers. Why don't you guys, when we hop off here, go help her out and get her up to 100, man? I remember the struggle to get to 100. I remember the struggle to get to 500, the struggle to get to 1,000. The struggle never stops. Let me tell you what. And then, now I'm pushing 2,000. By the way, thank you so much. I hope to hit 2,000. We can do a 2,000 live celebration. But right now, man, it's never easy to get somebody to hit that subscribe button. I'll tell you what. Do you crave before OMAD? Do the cravings go away on a strict OMAD diet? All right, so here's the thing, and I talked about this from the study earlier, guys. When you're doing OMAD and you're used to it, or when you're doing any intermittent fasting, you begin to not obsess over food as much, and the hunger goes away. Now, we had a debate the last time I did a live, and I had people over on the comments say that it took them 8 weeks to get over being hungry, but they were over being hungry. And everybody that I have personally met that has done fasting for a long period of time gets over the issue of worrying about whether or not they're hungry. It happens every single time. And so that is a huge, huge thing. So I do think you will, one, get over being hungry. It won't happen as often. You will. The cravings thing's interesting because anybody that knows my story knows that I haven't restricted any food, but I do crave foods less often. I don't think about like I need ice cream or whatever else like I would have before. So I do think your cravings get better over time. And I do think that's the facts. And I'm going to skip down to real quick just to say, and I don't want to mess up your name over there, but I am so happy you are back. I haven't seen you on my channel in forever. I have missed you. So thank you for coming back. I hope you're doing well. I hope that everything is going well for you. Huge supporter of mine. I just absolutely am thrilled to see you back in the chat. I have not seen your name in so long. I even sent you a comment that I missed you a couple of weeks ago because your name popped up when I was answering other people's comments from a video way back in the day. So super happy to see you. I loved your support in the past. I hope I get it a little bit in the future. So, all right, back up to Dennis. By the way, your blood work is near perfect. My blood work was perfect too. As crazy as that sounds, I went in and it was all good. And look, my uncle, which is eating breakfast and lunch and doing a 16 and 8 protocol, is 70. No, he's 60, I think 9 years old, maybe 68. But his blood work came back with low cholesterol, low blood pressure, all of his blood work in line for the first time in 20 years, he said. So, absolutely 100% good to hear, Dennis. And blood work is going to continue to just be better and keep moving on. So the Outlaw is back at it here. He's lost 80 pounds, guys. Earlier, when the Outlaw was off the channel, I think I mentioned him. But this is another guy that's pushing for 100 subscribers, guys. Does a lot of videos, talks about his journey. He's an outlaw, true and true. So when we get off of here, hit him up. He's lost 80. He has all kinds of good journal keeping. Keeps track of his weigh-ins really well. It's a very interesting channel. You can check him out. So he said 3.5 years. He still has some saggy skin. That's the thing. And I also think saggy skin is going to happen less often the younger you are. If you're in your journey and you're in your 20s, your body's going to bounce back a lot quicker than somebody in their 60s. And so, I think each one of us is going to have differences there. The hunger does go away. Absolutely. Guys, if you do OMAD, real quick, just so she understands and believes me here, if you do OMAD and you don't get hungry anymore, let her know in the comments, because I know for me, zero hungry. I'll tell you the only times I get hungry. The only time I get hungry is when I know I'm about to eat. So what I mean by that is, let's say my wife says, we're going to have dinner 5 o'clock. Why don't you go play basketball with the boys for a bit? So I go outside, we're playing basketball with the boys. Now it's 4:30 and I know I'm about to eat. I'm shooting hoops. I can feel the hunger then. I know I'm hungry, which really is an interesting thing too, because it goes to show the psychology of eating. And that we eat because we're bored, we eat because we have to, we eat because all of these, all of it's because we're sad, because we're celebrating, because all these different things. And so we don't realize how much is triggered to a pattern. And so if you take a rat and you put him in a cage and you feed him, and he has 25 tubes, and you feed him in one tube every day, how long is it before at the right time of day, you only feed him once, feed him at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, how long is it before you reach the top of that cage at 12 o'clock and the rat runs up there? I guarantee you it's going to happen because he knows it's time to eat. Even my fish know when it's time to eat, and they'll run straight to it. Humans are no different. And when you're eating all the time throughout the day as your regular habit and your regular lifestyle, what ends up happening is you continue to keep that habit going. And once you've continued to keep that habit going for a long, long time, you expect it. And once you're expecting to eat, it's a wrap, guys. You're doomed. And so I definitely think that you will get over the hunger. And I definitely think that you'll learn real quick that you really aren't hungry. You just know it's time to eat. And once you adjust when that time is, that's a whole different tool for you. Um, how often did I weigh in? Great question. Great question. One time a week. I find, and everybody's going to be different on this. I'm pretty sure Outlaw weighs himself more often than that. I know there's people that weigh themselves in daily, and daily weighing people's argument is that they want to keep themselves in check. My argument to why that doesn't work is your body fluctuates weight. It will hold water, it will release water, it will do all kinds of different things to balance itself out. And you may be doing everything right and gain 2 pounds overnight. And all of a sudden, you're thinking that you're doing things wrong and you're making an adjustment that's not necessary. And it's very hard to weigh yourself every day. Now, the people that weigh themselves every day that have success with it, a lot of them do the average of the week. So they get on the scale day in and day out of the entire week, but they don't really pay attention day to day. They don't sweat it. And then the week they add it all up and then they divide it by 7 and then they get an average and they can see whether they've lost weight over the course of the week. That's a more intelligent way to do it. We always look at weight as a day in and day out thing, and weight isn't there. Calorie burning isn't a day in and day out either. It's more of a week progress. It's what you've done for your body consistently over a week that's going to make you gain or lose. So for me, weighing yourself, pick a day, weigh yourself first thing in the morning, and don't do anything crazy like if you're going to fast for a whole day a week, you might not want to weigh yourself the day after you fast. Or if you do that, you better weigh yourself every single time that way because it will fluctuate your weight. So make sure it's a consistent thing. If you go out to eat, once a week, don't weigh yourself on the day after you go out to eat because that's going to be a bad day on the scale. 3 days later will be a more accurate depiction of where you truly are. So I think that's cool. Lloyd, man, it's good to have you back on, my brother. How much weight have you lost now, Lloyd? And thanks for the love, Michelle. I appreciate the clapping. Lloyd, let us know, man. I haven't heard from you in a minute on how much you've lost. I'm curious to know where you're at in the journey. You get hungry mostly once a day after a year and 7 months. Yeah, I mean, same thing. I get hungry once a day. I'm going to tell you what's also cool about the hungry once a day. And Julie, it's so good to see you. I'm glad that you popped on and got to see that I went live. Julie, sorry I didn't advertise it. I just read about a study. You can watch that on the playback. And I just wanted to talk about the study and then figured why not hang out and do it live and give you guys a chance to hang out. So I wanted to do that. But on the eating, you'll find out too that the one time a day, like let's say I told you I get hungry sometimes around 5 o'clock. If I got hungry at 5, but I could not eat and it passed 5 and I decided to fast for an entire day, my hunger would completely go away till the next day at 5. So I keep that hunger down. So I really think the psychology of eating is huge and it will change once you get on your roll. My man lost 94 pounds, 6 pounds away from 100 spot. How much more do you need to lose, Lloyd? Let us know in the comments where your goal is. We need to get you on the channel to talk about it too at some point, man. That's just so amazing. I'm so proud of you, Lloyd. All right, you started OMAD, eased right into it, got into a lot of trouble, but I'm still trying to train my body. I had to start over again, but I'm gradually getting a lot better. Again, listen, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but I am so happy to have you back on the channel. I really am. I'm so happy to hear that you're doing OMAD again. You're such a supportive person, and you've always had my back, so I appreciate it. I have your back. If you're having struggles, let me know. Shoot me a message. Let me know what the deal is. I'll answer whatever questions you got to. I'm going to help you. So let me know what you need, and I'm going to do my best to make sure it happens. I appreciate everything you've done for my channel over the course of, since I started in January. You've been a true and blue person for me. OMAD, Tyler, let's see. So do the research. What happens when you water fast and don't take any calories? Autophagy happens when your cells start to repair. Yeah, no, it's similar to autophagy and all of that. Yeah, Tyler, water fasting is amazing. As you guys know, I was on Healthy Alternative, and he's a water fasting channel. If you have not seen my Healthy Alternative interview, head over to his channel. It is, got to be one of my favorite interviews. He did an amazing job. But water fasting, people have person after person after person he's interviewed just were water fasters and lost so much weight. And the fasting fat man, you guys can show some love to the fasting fat man in the comments. I mean, 150 pounds he lost water fasting, something like that, something ridiculous. He went from over 500. I think now he's into 200 pounds. He is into the 200s now from over 500 pounds from water fasting. That's just amazing. Yeah, watch the playback. I'd appreciate it, Julie. I did a little talk about a study in the beginning. I think you'll find the results of that study to be pretty interesting. And back to the weigh-in, thing real quick. Weigh-in. So what I was trying to say was once a week is the way to go. For me personally, it allows you less stress. Just be consistent with it. And yeah, no, you do have to educate yourself about weighing in. That's something else that I see in our community. Like people will be like, I get on the scale multiple times in a day and they're upset. And never get on the scale multiple times in a day. When you wake up in the morning after you've used the bathroom, you are at your lightest you will be that entire day, unless you're not eating. So if you fast all the way till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, before you eat that meal at 5 o'clock, you're going to probably be pretty light, but it also depends on the water intake. 16 ounces of water is a pound. And we drink multiple pounds of water a day. And so if you're not in return sweating all of that water and peeing all of that water out, you're gaining weight, but it's not real weight. You're just taking, processing through water through your system. So ultimately speaking, weigh yourself no matter what, only in the mornings. I wouldn't do it every other day. If you do it every other day, please take the averages, because in this day, it'll say you lost 3 pounds. The next day, it'll say you gained 2, and you're upset when really you lost a half a pound of fat, which is amazing. So don't take it personally. Get rolling, and good to go. I'm definitely happy you're back too, by the way. 90 more to go. So, hey, Frankie, my son, my wife just posted. So my son is saying hi to me. Tell him I'll be up probably in a few, so I want to hang on till about 9 with you guys. So if you got any more questions, definitely drop them. Much love to my son, Frankie, for saying something to me in the chat. Guys, by the way, the 90 pounds, Lloyd, I want to talk to you about that. I think it's amazing that you've lost 94. And I think that you've already gotten through the hardest part of it, because although weight doesn't come off as easy over the course of time, the closer you get to your goal, the harder it is going to be to lose the weight. But with that said, on the other side of that is the fact that you feel better. And when you're feeling better, being able to lose the weight is easier. So you're at a point now with 94 pounds off, you're starting to probably feel better. You can let me know if that's the case. And the better you feel, the more you're going to get out, the more you're going to move, the more things are going to start to happen for you. And as that happens, you're going to be able to burn more weight easily on the mental side of things. Even though the weight will come off slower, the second 90 is going to be slower than the first 90, but the mental side of it is going to be so much better because you're going to feel like a better person. And I'm going to tell you one other thing that you could call it a secret in weight loss, or however you want to word it, but you gain a sense of pride when you're going through it. And that sense of pride spills over into other aspects of your life. And when you get to be overweight, even though you don't understand that there's a lot that goes into it, your hormones have played into this, the culture we live in has played into this, the way cities are set up and the access to food has played into this. There are a lot of things that, hurt you in your weight loss journey. But with that said, what tends to happen is you begin to take all the blame, and you begin to feel like you're not quite worthy of being anything other than overweight. And being in that process where you're in this mental headspace where you don't feel like you deserve to be fit, or you don't feel like you, should be fit, you get into a headspace that's hard to come out of. But when you get out of that and you've done the work and the work has been completed, it's a different ballgame. It's a totally different ballgame, because now You feel like I tackled that. Why can't I be a better this? Why can't I do that better? Why can't I put more effort into this? And that effect begins to gain momentum. And as you gain that momentum, everything around you changes, and you can start tackling things that you didn't think you could tackle. So that's coming down the line for all of you that are in the middle of the journey. I couldn't have sat in front of this camera and had a YouTube channel when I was 310 pounds. I couldn't have done it. I didn't feel like, one, people would want to see me. Two, and the laundry list of all of the things start to happen. Then you start to say, well, you know what, I'm going to put those fears aside and I'm going to try to help people, and everything changes. By the way, one other funny thing before I look back over at the comments, the other day, I accidentally stumbled across a YouTube video from 2012. If you look my name up, Chris Wyatt, Wiatt, you can watch this video. It's me talking about wrestling at the Virginia Duels. It's a 2-minute long video. And I go up the stage, they introduce me, and I talk about wrestling in the national division. This is in 2012. You can see how overweight I was, guys. You can go there right now. Just Google CHRIS space, not Google, but put it in YouTube, WIATT. You can see what I looked like in 2012. In 2012, I had a 1-year-old son and a 3-year-old son. I was struggling to even stay on the stage and speak. I was so tired. It's interesting. I was actually going to take that video clip and play it in a future video and talk, like if I could talk to this guy and play the video there for you guys so that you could see the difference in me and the difference that, 2012 was 7 years ago. So at 7 years, I was 33 years old. 33 years old, I'm a young man, and I'm standing there struggling to even breathe. And you guys can see how big I truly was. And I'm not even sure that was at my heaviest because I had just lost a little bit of weight after having Lex when Lex was 1. That allowed us, that right around the time we had Frankie. And I started to gain the weight back post Frankie. So that's only a year after that. So realistically speaking, when you're looking at that, I'm probably 40 pounds lighter than I was at the tail end of my journey before I started losing weight this time around. And that video will I think, shock you. You'll say, wow, this guy really, I looked older than I do now. I certainly looked heavier and unhealthier than I do now. So, that's just something you guys can check out if you really want to do so. Multiple weigh-ins per day. Yeah, multiple weigh-ins for today will break you mentally. Just don't do it. Once a day max, always in the morning, never at night, and weigh yourself once a week. That's my 2 cents. You did keto, but only about 30% fats, mostly meat and eggs. Yeah, people put it in there too that you want to be on keto. They underplay protein. You can have protein, man, and you can eat fruits. Look, you wouldn't call this keto. You could maybe call it low carb or something. I don't know, but if you ate fruits, vegetables, meats, and fats, it's not even really low carb because vegetables and fruits have carbs. Man, you're good. You're golden. You're golden. You're very hard to get fat when you're eating fruits and vegetables, meats, and healthy natural fats. You don't want to have Oreos, obviously. You don't want to have trans fats. You don't want to have, Doritos. But if you're eating, nuts and you're eating coconut oils and all that good stuff, man, you're going to be golden. There's no doubt about that. And you'll get that 90 pounds off 7 months, man. That's a big goal, but I believe in you. And if you need anything, let me know, man. I definitely have your back. And so you have a new mission at life at 58 and started a new career researching your goals to get down 40 or 30 more pounds. Listen, hey, Outlaw, I know you can do it, man. And starting a new career and all that good stuff, you probably wouldn't have the confidence to get that going, if you hadn't lost the weight and feeling better and doing the things you're doing. So, I think it's great that you're doing everything you're doing. I think you're an inspiration at 58, and think about the weight you've already lost. Think about how much you've probably added to your life, because, you don't see a whole lot of overweight 80-year-olds, so knowing that you're getting in the right path and you're doing the right things, it's going to extend your life. And right now, every day you can get is precious. So every day I can get is precious. That wasn't an age thing. I'm just saying, if you can add, some years to your life, it's such an amazing thing. Yeah, I always got the best shirts. You like that? I'm a huge Pokemon fan, man. I said that earlier in this video, man. In video game, look, I'm a nerd, man. I'm not even gonna lie. Video games, big part of my life, always have been. I'm playing with my boys, and there is probably no greater video game than Pokemon. I mean, it's unbelievable. So make sure you guys hit up that like button for me before I get off of here. I want to thank every one of you that sat here on this live today with me. Hopefully, you guys learned some stuff. Sorry, I just did it last minute. I just saw that study and I said, I want to hop in and I want to talk to people. I want to make sure they know about it and, answer some questions and do a little hangout. I will do another live definitely when we get to 2,000 subscribers, which we're right around the corner for. So if you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. And if you have subscribed, go pick out my favorite video and share it with your buddies. So maybe you get another subscriber out of that. I appreciate every one of you. I cannot tell you enough how much I appreciate you. And guys, that's all I got for you today. So I'm going to catch you on the next one. I appreciate you, man. Peace.